Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stardom Cast. This is a podcast we talk all things about the fantastic professional wrestling company that is Stardom, and we do it in a positive and what I like to think fun manner. I'm your host for this episode. My name is Matt Turner. Unfortunately, we will not be joined by my good friend and your good friend and the author of the book, Living the Dream, Stardom's 10th Anniversary in Review, one Rob Goodwin. Rob is a little bit under the weather today, so we're going to be flying a little bit solo. My friends, we're going to be flying solo, but that's A-okay because we're here for two main reasons. Number one, to have fun, right? Why wouldn't we be here if we did not want to have fun? And reason number two, of course, to talk about the fantastic professional wrestling company that is Stardom, as we are smack dab in the, I wouldn't say the middle, maybe the first quarter of this fantastic 5-star Grand Prix. So, folks, what I'm doing, I'm going to give you a little menu on what's coming up on the podcast for this episode for this week. The main event of this show, we will be doing a review of the pay-per-view coming up this Sunday, Stardom X Stardom. We will also be going over the 5-star matches for this upcoming week. We'll be reviewing the shows from the 5th and 6th of August. I know the show from the 8th just went up this morning. I'm recording this on the 9th. I did not get a chance to watch it. So next week, hopefully Rob will be a little bit better and he'll be back to tag in with me. So next week we'll be reviewing the Stardom X Stardom show as well as the show from the 8th and the shows from upcoming this week as well. So it'll be a busy week as well. We got some news. We'll touch on the news in just a moment. Then, of course, the Patreon. But before we get on to all of that, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I hope you enjoy. I hope you stay and you hang out with us for weeks and weeks and months and years and years. But I usually like to start the podcast with a little bit of chitter chatter. Last week, if you do remember, if you do listen to the show on a weekly basis, that you know that I had a busy week, my friends. Busy week and a great week. This past Sunday, we had my daughter's high school graduation party, which was a really fun time. It was good seeing some of my friends from back towards the Scranton, Pennsylvania area. They came up. It's always nice to hang out with friends and family. My wife, God bless her, she went absolutely overboard with the preparation and everything. My wife is very meticulous and she's very organized when it comes to certain things like this, and she absolutely hit this one out of the park. She did like 80% of the decorations, like 90% of the cooking for about 90 people, and everything was an absolute home run. So tonight, as soon as I get done uploading this episode, this podcast, I'm going to be taking her to a little concert. Going to go see one of her favorite bands, one of my favorite bands, believe it or not, the Goo Goo Dolls. So speaking of concerts, I was thrashing at a concert this past weekend as well, this past Friday. Myself, my best friend, and my father went to the MetLife Stadium, the sites of WrestleMania 29 and 35, to see two little bands there, one called Pantera and one called Metallica. Over 80,000 people there, folks, were there to see heavy metal and its absolute finest. And I've never gotten to see Pantera before. Obviously, this is a way different Pantera than there was 30 years ago. Obviously, the brothers, Dimebag, Daryl, and Vinnie Paul are no longer with us, but we had Charlie Benante from Anthrax, probably my third or fourth favorite band, filling in for the drums, and Zakk Wylde, the lead guitar player for Ozzy Osbourne, or off and on the past 30 years or so, was taking the place there of Dimebag Daryl on guitar. And let me tell you, the replacements, I don't know if you call them replacements because they were fantastic. They thrashed, they kicked ass. It was an absolutely fantastic time. Now, I do want to tell a funny story. Because again, that's what part of the podcast we're here. We're here to tell funny stories and have a laugh and have a good time. So, I was the DD. So I had a few beers in the parking lot. Knew we were going to be there a long time. My dad and my best friend were drinking, not crazy heavily, but they were, let's just say, just having a good time. So we get to the venue. We get to our seats. We know we got about a half an hour before Pantera comes on. We all agree that we're kind of done drinking beer because we were drinking some pretty heavy beers, some pretty hefty beers. And we figured let's just, maybe have a mixer, something maybe like a vodka and soda or a rum and Coke or a Jack and Coke, and kind of just, one more in the stadium and then we'll be done with it. We'll rock out to Pantera and we'll rock out to the 2.5 hour set that Metallica gave us. So I said, you guys sit down, relax. I will get the drinks. So I go over and into the stadium and the concession stands, and I'm looking for any place that sells mixed drinks. Walk around for a few minutes, can't find anything until boom, smack dab in the middle, right there, frozen margarita stand. I figured, all right, this will be perfect. I go to the counter, and I told the lady I will take one regular margarita and one strawberry margarita. I turn to the right of me. I start just creating normal conversation, normal chit chat with the lady to the right of me, as I'm one to. I'm a big people person. I do like chatting with whoever, whether I know you or don't know you. I usually like to say hi and just make sure everybody is doing a-okay, because again, that's what life's about. You only get one trip around this best of all worlds, and I just want to make sure everybody's okay, having a good time. After I get done with this mini conversation, I see my margaritas are done, and folks, they were not put in the most manliest glasses, manliest cups, if you will. Now, to me, I don't care. I'm an easygoing person. It is what it is. However, the Cowboys from Hell, Pantera, are about to take stage. And then we're getting the Master of Puppets, the Inner Sandman, the And Justice for All, the Harvest of Sorrow, Metallica coming up next. This is not going to be a good look for me. However, they're already paid for. They're in my hand. Here I go. So I go to walk towards my seats. I must have went past the section that my father and my dad were in, right? And as I'm walking by, my best friend's yelling my name. I turn over to look, and there's my dad going, no, you just keep walking. You keep walking, because these drinks in these giant clear containers, it was like neon red for the strawberry and like neon green for the lime that's in the margarita. So walk over to my dad. I give one to my dad and one to my best friend. And they look at me with such shame and disgust, saying, what did you get? You realize Pantera's coming on stage? I said, I couldn't find any mixed drink stations with this or beer, and we figured that we're all done drinking beer. So they're like, you got to be kidding me. So my dad takes a sip of the strawberry and the lime, the regular. So does my best friend, and they realize these margaritas that I purchased were absolutely fantastic, and they absolutely loved them. My best friend then says, look, here's what's going to happen. We're going to slam these margaritas. We're going to drink them. We're going to have a good time because they're delicious. But we're not taking any pictures of these. So needless to say that I had a few sips of each and they were delicious. My dad and my best friend went to town on these frozen margaritas. And then Pantera came on stage and they were absolutely fantastic. By the time Pantera was on stage, it was about 60,000 people. And I'm a huge fan of the ECW era. One of the best entrance themes, in my opinion, ECW in the 90s, Walk by Pantera's Rob Van Dam's theme. Actually, Rob Van Dam, for all you AEW fans, has been showing up in AEW with the RVD theme. So, or the RVD, excuse me, the Pantera theme. So when Pantera was doing Walk, it was like 60,000 people doing the RVD thumb point, which I thought was cool. So they finished. Now, they had probably about a 45, 50-minute set. On the scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. They were fantastic. And then about 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, give or take, Metallica came on. By the time Metallica came on, there wasn't a seat to be found. Yeah, they said there was about 80,000 people there, which is absolutely insane. It took me about 2 hours and 15 minutes to get out of the parking lot. And then once I got out of the parking lot, it was about an hour drive home for me. Regardless, absolutely fantastic time with these no repeat tours that they're doing. I only went to the Friday. The Sunday I just wasn't going to do. I just don't have that time. I'm sure it was well worth it, well worth the money. My cousin, he went, one of my best friends, Joey Image, my buddy who set up the Amazing Kong interview. He went to both days. They told me they were absolutely fantastic. But if you're thinking about going, or you never went, or you've seen Metallica before, and you're just not sure if you're going to go. Pull the trigger, go. Put it out, I'm not saying go broke or go sell the house or anything like that. put it on a credit card, figure it out how you'll pay it off later, because you can always get the money back. You can't get time back. And Metallica's been touring 41, 42 years. I think Kill 'Em All came out, I think the year I was born or the year after I was born. So they're not going to be doing this forever. So if you're a Metallica fan, if they're within an hour, 2, 3 hours of driving distance, I can't recommend it enough. Go see this stadium. The show is just unbelievable. Where they had the stage set up on the 50-yard line, and they had 8 giant like movie screens like wrapped around poles in the middle of MetLife Stadium. So you really didn't miss anything. It was just and they sounded great. Again, they played for about 2.5 hours. They're absolutely fantastic. They opened up that set with Creeping Death, and then they finished with Master of Puppets, where I believe they finished night 2 with Inner Sandman. Makes sense. That's kind of their big party theme. So yeah. So I guess that's enough about that. Talking about my personal life. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed the little rant that I did. But yes, go see Metallica. And go see Stardom, right? Yeah, that's what we're here for. We're here for talking about Stardom and these fantastic shows. So let's get into some Stardom talk, shall we? So first and foremost, let's talk about what's coming up on the Patreon this past week. Rob and I released our alternate commentary of what, in my opinion, is the greatest Wonder of Stardom Championship match of all time. Sai Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship, the white belt, against the Wild Heart herself, Hazuki, from earlier this year, the Triangle Derby Finals. That was an absolutely fantastic match. And then coming up next week on the Patreon alternate commentary, we did two. We went back to back again. Sai Kamatani, the Summer of Saya continues on, folks. We have Sai Kamatani challenging Tam Nakano for the Wonder of Stardom Championship at Dream Queendom 2021. Spoilers, folks. That's where the legendary reign begins. And I haven't seen that match in about 5 or 6 months. Was an absolute blast calling that back with Rob. And also we did our All Japan alternate commentary. Ever since we redid the Patreon back at the beginning of the summer, we're adding in either an All Japan or All Japan women's match or what have you. And this was Rob's pick. This is one of Rob's all-time favorite tag matches. I've never seen it before. It was from the Tag League Final, I believe, 88. It was the team of Tenryu and Kawada taking on the team of Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy. And I had an absolute blast watching that. Just you can tell there's not a lot of stuff called in this match beforehand or even, and it's Hansen and Gordy just beating the crap out of very young Kawada. This is before Kawada becomes the legend, like the god that he is. And Kawada's got announced for StarCast. So Kawada's coming over to the States for the first time in like 31, 32 years. I think it's Eddie Kingston that's interviewing him or something like that. So that's super exciting. I wish I was closer to the Chicago area because Kawada's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. The Holy Demon Army, Kawada and Taue, probably my second or third all-time favorite tag team. So that's really cool that Kawada's coming back to the States, after 30 years and hasn't wrestled in, 15, 16 years, give or take. So hopefully we give him a well-received reception. He comes back to the States maybe like once a year for these fans fests and conventions because I would love to meet Kawada. But yeah, this is before Kawada has the black and gold tights. He's wearing Zubaz, which was very popular in the 80s. Yeah, I'm an 80s kid, so I do remember them. So it is kind of funny, but the match is great. Absolutely great. And also, probably by the time you listen to this or this upcoming weekend, the review, so again, Summer Saya, rocking and rolling, the review of Aphrodite, Sai Kamatani, and Utami High, it's just the tag team making up 2/6 of the current Queen's Quest. Their 2022 Goddess of Stardom tournament tag run. That review should be in your feed either by the time you listen to this or sometime this weekend. So Sean will probably have that up pretty soon. So, and I had an absolute blast going back and watch those matches. And I mentioned it in that episode. You'll hear it that I remember they had a really, really good run. But when I was going back watching, I'm like, damn, I don't remember these matches being this good. I mean, I know they were good, but their matches just their final night with Aphrodite versus Meltier and then Aphrodite versus 7-Up. It's just what a great one night of tag wrestling from just one team. And also, I think it was night 3 or night 4 versus Momo and Starlight Kid. And then they have this brutal kick fest, strike fest with Karate Brave, Shuri, and Tomoka Inaba, where Tomoka Inaba really, really shines there. So if you have not done so and you're thinking about it, I mean, it's $3. If you're not on the Patreon, you're thinking about joining, you're not sure. You get all these reviews plus the amazing back catalog that we've been doing for the past year plus. It's all for $3. And so since that is done, that is in the books, in the can, again, should be up on your feed any day now. The homework will begin probably tomorrow for the episode I'm looking forward to doing the most. The Mammoth Saya Kamatani Wonder of Stardom Championship run. Yes, all, 16, 17 matches from that run. And that'll probably be close to a 2 hour episode. There's no way I can probably get that done in 90 minutes, an hour 40, hour 45. That's probably closer to a 2 hour episode. So I know a lot of you folks like the that listen, you like the longer episodes. For you Patreon, I won't have Rob with me on that one again. This will be a solo one. So if you don't mind listening to me talk about Sai Kamatani, the greatest Wonder of Stardom champion of all time, in my opinion, the 2022 Wrestler of the Year, not just in Stardom but in all of wrestling. If you don't mind listening to about 2 hours of that, you will absolutely enjoy the episode, because again, the homework for that will probably start this weekend, and I'll try to have that banged out, and that'll be up on your Patreon feeds by the end of this month. So before we get into the show reviews, let's talk about some news. And we're going to be talking about some stuff that are kind of stepping a little bit out of the Stardom realm. But if you've listened to this podcast before, or if you've followed me on any social media, you all know that I am a huge fan of Io Shirai. And again, if this is your first time listening to the Stardom Cast, welcome. We have new listeners each and every week, and we appreciate that. Folks, if you're new, I'm a huge fan of Io Shirai. She is my favorite female wrestler of all time, and I think she's the greatest female wrestler of all time. This past week, Io Shirai cashed in her Money in the Bank contract on Bianca Belair just seconds after she won the really good triple threat match with Charlotte and Asuka to become the new WWE Women's Champion. Super excited for that. There was heavy rumors that it was going to happen, and just watching Io run down that giant runway, it's like basically a 100-yard dash. Took me back to my high school football days, which I was not any good at, folks. But yeah, she ran that thing down, and then basically her and Bailey beat everybody up that was in eyesight with the briefcase. They ring the bell. Io hits the over the moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. Super excited for her, super ecstatic. You can see what it meant to her, especially for us Stardom fans. And then Michael Cole with the call of the year, where after Io wins, he says, and I'm paraphrasing, "From the world of Stardom to the star of the world, Io Shirai." And that got Stardom trending like crazy. And now we have new people. I know myself and Rob, and we've had just a lot of newer people asking us certain questions about Stardom, because there's so many people that watched that event. I know there was 59,000 in the building, so close to 60,000, and I know how knows how many hundreds of thousands or million people watching on the Peacock network. Just seeing that, and the fact that they mentioned the World of Stardom, which the World of Stardom, of course, the World Stardom Championship is the red belt, the highest belt you can earn in Stardom, and Io did have 2 runs with that belt, 2 of the best runs ever, the V10 and the V14, which are covered in the Patreon. So if you're Patreon members, that is in the back catalog. And in my opinion, Io's V14 is not only the best run in the history of Stardom, but one of the best runs in any Japanese company in the last 25 years, whether it's Okada's run, Tanahashi's run with the New Japan belt, whether it's Kabashi's phenomenal run with the GHC Global Honor Crown Championship belt. The Io V14 is right up there with this match quality, and I believe it's 536 days that she held that belt. So I thought that was really cool. That was a nice little kin, and I don't know if he meant it, but it got a little bump up for Stardom. There was I saw some metrics where their YouTube channel kind of got a little more views, and their Twitter page got a little more views, and even us on Facebook got a little more views. So that was really, really cool. So and again, if you're checking out this podcast for the first time because of that, welcome. And again, any questions, comments, anything that myself, Rob, can do for you, just let us know, because we're an open book. We absolutely love talking Stardom or wrestling in general with all the friends and family of the Stardom cast. On the other big news is it's heavily rumored, almost a done deal, that Kyrie will be returning to the WWE sometime, I believe, in late October, early November is the tentative date. Obviously, all that stuff can change. She is wrestling for Sendai Girls, I believe, in September, and then wrestling for All Japan, which is kind of weird. Like, not All Japan Women, which doesn't exist anymore, but All Japan. So she's got those 2 dates, and then she has 2 more dates. She did say that she wants to wrestle a homegrown person in Stardom for her final date. So those 2 dates, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they're both for Stardom. So Julia, I know she's not the homegrown, but let's play let's back up a step here. Let's play armchair booker here. So she's got 2 dates supposedly left. Of course, it's wrestling. It's subjective. They can always add on to those dates. But let's assuming that those last 2 dates are for Stardom. She wants to wrestle somebody homegrown from Stardom. That's with Stardom from the ground up. So you have Azumi, possibly a rematch with Mayu, possibly rematch with Utami because they did have that match at Dream Queendom last year that went to a 15-minute draw. That was really, really good. And it's one of the, if you're a big fan of Utami dropping people with a hijack bomb, boy, she plants Kyrie right into the mat with that hijack bomb. Jeez Louise. So like those are really the 3 big ones that kind of come to mind. I was thinking Saya Kamatani, but she might not. We still don't really have a return date on her arm injury because of the ligament damage. They're probably seeing the strength in that. But I would love to see. That's the match that I would want to see actually the most, is because when Saya came back, she basically mentioned to Saya, or when Kyrie came back, excuse me, she mentioned to Saya, like, hey, you have that white belt, that wonder belt, you're doing a great job with it. But I was like really the first big superstar to really put that belt on the map. And then they were supposed to have a match at Stardom X Stardom last year. Kind of funny because that's what we're reviewing at the end of the show. Stardom X Stardom last year, Kyrie got COVID. They pushed it off until November. They had a 30-minute draw. Fantastic match. Match, if you have not seen, please go out of your way to see it. One of Kyrie's best matches ever, and one of the better matches in Saya's fantastic reign. And one of the matches I'm going to go back and watch. Definitely not begrudgingly for that Patreon episode. So that's basically where I was thinking it would go. Again, we don't know when these matches are going to take place. We don't know when Saya is coming back. But Azumi is a name, too, that has popped up quite a bit. And I think that'd be a great rub for Azumi. Utami doesn't need the rub, even though we'd love to see that rematch. Mayu doesn't need the rub, even though we'd love to see that rematch. Saya Kamatani really doesn't need the rub. What a great way would that for her to come back from an injury, especially if she was supposed to win the 5-star Grand Prix that was heavily rumored in the Wrestling Observer. Again, win or not, she was probably going to go far in the tournament regardless. What a great rub that would be for. But Azumi, well, I mean, the Stardom roster is so stacked that like when a Azumi match starts, you're just like, oh, I forgot. Just like Azumi's like one of the best wrestlers in the world. So that would be a match that I would love to see. Hazuki as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe she is Stardom homegrown. Obviously she had that retirement, came back. She's absolutely crushing and kicking ass. I mean, we love Hazuki. So Hazuki, Kairi. I mean, we'll see where that goes. But the other day is still the question mark. Julia, right? I mean, it's got to be Julia. They teased that in the 6-person tag match with Restart when they dropped the belts to the Donald Del Mundo team of Julia, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai. They really built up like they were going to have a one-on-one match. So I'm hoping, again, obviously Julia is not a homegrown Stardom talent. She did come from Ice Ribbon, but at the same time, they can change it. They can be like, well, she only has one date. We're going to give Kyrie versus Julia. And, maybe we see Kyrie pinned clean for the first time in a Stardom ring since her return, kind of, hey, putting somebody out on the way out. But I would love to see at least one more Stardom match that really they can put her in there with anybody. I don't think nobody's going to complain. They could do a tag 6-person just so maybe they can get everybody in. Maybe you do Restart, Kyrie, Sorianu, and Natsupoi versus maybe Azumi, Sai Kamatani, and Utami. I mean, that'd be a great match. There's a zillion different aspects they can go with that. Regardless, it's going to be exciting to see what they do. Again, she's got 2 dates left. I hope that one of those dates is for Stardom. And that's got to be her final, right? I did see a lot of negativity on the Twitterverse or the Xverse or whatever it's called this week about her leaving. Like, why would she go back? She was so misused. Look, she really hasn't wrestled much in Stardom, especially this past year. Well, she's wrestled like 4 matches. Like, when's the last time she had a singles match? I think it was the Utami match, which was at the end of the year. I mean, I'm not looking at stats here. That's one of the many reasons why Rob is just fantastic. He pulled that up in like 2 seconds. And she made mention back in early spring that she wants to wrestle a lot more. And we were all excited here on the Stardom cast and the Stardom universe that like, okay, we're going to see Kyrie more. Maybe we'll get her in the 5-star. And for some reason, what other reason, just she never got booked. And I don't know, maybe if her price was too high or the dates weren't lining up, or that's why she was wrestling, over at Sendai Girls, and then she wrestled at that Sari show. It was her and Sari versus Takumi Roha, and I believe it was Risa Nakajima. And I haven't seen that match yet, but I heard it's great. And then she wrestled Unagi at the Kenta Kobashi Fortune show. So she's been taking a lot of outside Stardom bookings. I mean, she is a freelancer, so she can absolutely do that. But I just don't know why that Stardom never booked her. Again, maybe they just didn't see the return investment in with her. Maybe they're like, look, we have all these other stars. We really don't need her. I don't know. I can't see that being the case. But Kairi was very polite, very showing a lot of love and appreciation to Rasi Ogawa. So I see why, if you're a Stardom fan, you're upset that Kairi's going. At the same time, like, they really weren't using her, and now we're gonna see her on a weekly basis in front of, I mean, WWE. Their numbers, they're crushing it. 14, 15,000 people. Then on these premium live events, you're getting 50, 60,000 people. I mean, can you imagine her at a WrestleMania? 80,000 people. With that entrance and just her aura. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. So would I have loved to see her in Stardom and have like a full run in Stardom where she's wrestling the Suzuki's, the Julias, her and Mayu were teaming up to take on Aphrodite or Meltier. 1,000%. Absolutely. Would I love to see a singles match with her and Saida? We love Saida on the show. Absolutely. Would I love to see her just having matches with the younger talent, the rookies, to help them out? Absolutely. But they weren't using her. The bottom line is we want Kairi to be happy. She wants to go back to WWE. She's going to be making a lot more money over there. We're going to be seeing her wrestling a lot more. The bottom line is, and not only that, but the WWE Women's Division is fantastic. Kairi and Io. Let's push for it for Philly Mania, right, folks? Can you imagine Kairi versus Io in an actual proper match, either on TV or on a big show? Again, fingers crossed. Can we imagine we get that match at WrestleMania? But like Kairi versus Bianca Belair, Kairi versus Charlotte, Kairi versus Bayley. It just goes Kairi versus Shayna Baszler. I mean, they had a really great feud for Kairi's first run. There's a bunch of great matches that we can. Kairi and Asuka. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on and on. So it's going to be exciting to see her on TV again. Another reason why I have to stay tuned to WWE TV. And that brings me to my next point, which will close out the news section, folks. So we have decided, obviously, Io and Kairi. Again, if you're new to Stardom, they are 2/3 of the daughters of Stardom, the third being Mayu Iwatani. So what we're going to do, we may start this next week, the week after, I'm not sure. And I did put this up on Twitter or the X, whatever you want to call it this week, is we're going to be starting a segment. Again, maybe next week, the week after, we're going to be doing a segment that whatever Io and Kairi do on TV, and I know Kairi's not coming back until the fall, whatever they do on TV, or whether it's Raw, SmackDown, NXT, I'll be watching, we'll be making notes, and we will be talking about it. I guess that, to me, that's just a way to keep Io and Kairi kind of still in the Stardom universe. And I kind of put like a quick little, hey, stuff on social media. Hey, does everybody want that? And everybody says, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We would love for you guys to cover Io and Kairi, even though Io has not been a part of the Stardom family in 5 years. To me, she'll always be Stardom. And same thing with Kairi. So whatever Io and Kairi are doing on TV, we'll be watching, we'll be reviewing, we'll be doing our notes, and we'll be talking about it on this podcast. Hope that's okay with you. So again, this gives us a reason to talk about Io and Kairi every week on this podcast. Again, it keeps them close to the Stardom family and the Stardom cast and the friends and family that you all are. So that's pretty much all I have for the news, folks. Let's go into these two shows. Again, we're covering the shows from the 5th and the 6th. The show from the 8th just went up this morning. Did not get a chance to review it. So thanks to my main man, Darren Chatton, who literally, as I was getting on to record this podcast, he dropped me the numbers for the attendance numbers. And I'm a numbers guy, so it's always nice to see. So the show from the 5th took place in Kamiatsu, Ishikawa. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. In front of 502 fans. And the results are as follows. And I will go through quickly just go through the first few matches, and then I will delve more into the 5-star matches. Match number 1, Saida. Yes, one of our favorites here on the show. Saida defeating Hanako with the Dragon Sleeper. Really solid match. I gave it 3.25 stars, and that gives Saida her first 2 points. No, I'm just kidding. Saida getting the win. Match number 2 saw the Oedo Tai team of Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora, and Rina defeat the Queen's Quest team of Lady C, Miyu Amasaki, and Hina in 9 minutes and 44 seconds. When we saw Rina pinning Hina with the Pink Devil, I had this one at 3.5 stars. And usually, I'm a huge fan of Queen's Quest. Not only are they my favorite faction in wrestling now, they're probably my third favorite faction ever in wrestling. And you have the 6. So you have Azumi, Sai Kamatani, and Utami. So those are your main three. Any way you slice, those are the main three. And then you have like the next three, which is Lady C, Miyu, and Hina. And when I heard the Queen's Quest, because I forgot what the match was, I just pressed play and was getting ready to write down my notes. And I'm like, oh, I wonder which of the, I know it's a 6-person match, but like, is it Zumi in this? Is it Utami? I said it was Lady C, Miyu, and Hina. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like, no disrespect, the bottom half of Queen's Quest. But Lady C, Miyu, and Hina, and they did on the next night, they work amazing together. I was like, holy jeez, like these are obviously, the creme de la creme of Queen's Quest, in my opinion. I don't think too many people disagree with me, is Azumi, Saya, and Utami. These three work amazing together. Again, Miyu is ever improving. Lady C is so underrated. She's so good. And Hina, only 16, 17 years old. Once she becomes a full-time member of the Stardom roster, just like her sister Rena, I think they're just going to absolutely blow it out of the water. But this was really good, and I really enjoyed the way Lady C, Miyu, and Hina team up. And if they do a Triangle Derby next year, I would love to see them keep, main Queen's Quest and then this versions of Queen's Quest. So I'd love to see Utami, Azumi, and Saya once again part of their own thing on Queen's Quest, and then Lady C, Miyu, and Hina, because again they worked really well together. Really enjoyed this match. The next match number 3, saw the God's Eye team of Shuri, Saki Kashima, Amisori defeating the what do I have here? The Stars team of Mayu Utani, Hana, and Hazuki, when Shuri tapped out Hana with a grounded Suzako double armbar, 9 minutes 52 seconds, 3.5 stars. Really good, brutal bout. You have Hazuki in there. Mayu's great. Hana is just amazing. She's just so good. The way that she's just basically taking this onslaught from Shuri and Amisori, and then she just starts to judo throw the world. A really, really excellent match, and just really excited to see what the future has for the future ace in Hana. I thought she was great here. Match number 3, three-way tag bout. Oh, I gave that match 3.5 stars. Match number 3, three-way tag bout. We are the tag team champions, the God of Stardom champions, Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May, versus the Donald DeMondo team of Julia and Tekla, the Berry Berry Bombers, and the makeshift team of May Sierra and Megan Bain, when Megan Bain is able to hit the F5 on the Tekla for the 3 count in 13 minutes and 9 seconds, 3.5 stars. This is basically a really good showing for Megan Bain. You had Mina and Mariah May, they got their tag stuff in. May Sierra was really good here. Julian Tekla, the Berry Berry Bombers, they got a lot of their tag stuff here. But really, these Megan Bain matches, everybody's just kind of like the side dishes, getting their stuff in. But the main course is Megan Bain, just to build her up as this monster, as she challenges Tam Nakano this weekend for the World of Stardom Championship. And again, it's very going to. We'll get into it at the end of the episode. You know that Tam's going to win, right? I mean, it's wrestling. Anything can happen. They've shocked us before, but you're wondering how she's going to win, because Megan Bain, I don't think hasn't been taken off her feet, and she's just rolling through everybody here. They're doing a great job building her up to your kind of seeing like, where's this going to go? How is it going to go? How's Tam going to be able to dethrone this monster that's just crushing everybody? So it's going to be interesting to see. Really interesting to see on Sunday. A really good match, 3.5 stars. Let's get into the 5-star matches from the 5th. So, the first match, the next match number 5 on this show, saw Blue Stars block action. Mirai getting 2 more points, taking up to 4, getting the victory over Azumi when she hits the Mirror Mirai shock and then follows up with a leaping lariat in 7 minutes 55 seconds, 4.25 stars. And again, folks, I'm going to delve into these 5-star matches a little bit more. So the 2 start out. We have some really good chain wrestling. Azumi goes to her high-speed offense to get the first advantage of the match. Azumi then hits a springboard dropkick, and then the Alita arm drag. She transitions that arm drag into the double arm bar. The way Azumi builds up her arm work, how she uses the lucha and the high-speed offense to build up to the arm work, is second to none in wrestling. She really is a wrestling genius. Azumi hits a Tree of Woe double stomp, and then she tries to follow up with a top rope double stomp, but Mirai gets out of the way and hits a huge lariat, which is like really the first big thing that Mirai hits this match. Mirai then follows up with a missile dropkick for 2. Mirai goes for another lariat, but Azumi ducks it, hits a huge head kick, and then the C4 bomb, which is the leg capture German suplex. And then Azumi follows up with the Azumi Sushi that scores her a 2 count. Mirai then crushes Azumi with this lariat. Mirai tries to follow up that lariat with another lariat, because Mirai very much comes to the Nigel McGuinness school of lariats, where she hits one, she has to hit a few more, which I love. I love that psychology. Hey, it's a big move. Let me try to hit it again to put this person away. Eventually, they kind of get out. So Azumi ducks the other lariat attempt. She tries for the numero uno, but Mirai counters with a few roll-ups. They go back and forth with a few near falls that it looks like Azumi was almost going to steal one here. Azumi escapes the Mir Mirai shock into the La Mystica, and then she transitions that into the numero uno. Mirai quickly gets the ropes. Mirai comes back with a huge lariat, and then she follows up that lariat with the Mir Mirai shock, and then hits the leaping lariat for 3 count. Again, 4.25 stars. This was fantastic. Azumi 0-2, while Mirai has won 2 in a row, taking it up to 4 points. We go to the co-main event of this show as we saw Suzu Suzuki getting her first 2 points in the Red Stars block as she defeats Starlight Kid with the Locomotion German Suplex, 12 minutes, 26 seconds, 4.25 stars. And they've had a lot of interactions, a lot of matches over the last year. But this one was probably my favorite. This was really, really good. And the fact that I think they have another gear. So I think eventually when one of these competitors wins the white belt or red belt, you'll see maybe something like a 16, 17-minute match, or maybe in a final of a 5-star. Maybe next year, I think you'll see a little bit more involved. Again, this was a great match, but it still seems like they were leaving something on the table, and that's A-okay because they gave us enough. This was fantastic. Starlight Kid goes after Suzu Suzuki's knee with a low drop kick. It was a really cool spot where they had a lockup in, and then Starlight Kid pushes Suzu to the ropes, and the heel never gives a clean break, but she drop kicked Suzu's knee. I never seen that before. Usually, I would love Kenta when Kenta back in like the Noah days, or when he was in Ring of Honor back in the early 2000s, they would go for a clean break and he would go for like a head kick, and usually their opponent would duck. But Starlight Kid goes right to Suzu's knee, no clean break, which we knew we were gonna get. But I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. I thought that was cool. Suzu then tries to bail out to the floor to break a little separation because obviously Starlight Kid, if she's working the knee, she's going to go for that Black Tiger leg crusher submission. So she rolls to the floor to try to create separation, but Starlight Kid hits a high cross body to the floor. Starlight Kid works on Suzu's knee on the floor. She tries to use a chair. You don't do that with Suzu Suzuki. We saw this with Momo Watanabe at last year's 5-star Grand Prix. Didn't turn out so well when you try to use weapons on a deathmatch wrestler like Suzu Suzuki. Suzu turns it around. She beats the crap out of Starlight Kid with a chair. Suzu throws her back in the ring. She hits a standing moonsault for 2. She whips Starlight Kid into the turnbuckle. When she does, Starlight Kid's able to come off, hit a reverse counter high cross body, and then she hits a standing moonsault of her own that scores Starlight Kid a 2 count. She goes back to Suzu's knee with the Indian Deathlock. Eventually, we see a big form fest between the two. Of course, Suzu Suzuki wins the exchange. Again, Suzu Suzuki is very good at the deathmatch wrestling, but she's also very good at the striking of wrestling. She throws really good kicks and really stiff forearms, and boy howdy did she here. Starlight Kid, though, even though 21, 22 years old, veteran of the ring, instead of realizing I shouldn't be exchanging blows, with Suzu Suzuki, so she hits a low drop kick, staying on the knee. Suzu comes back with a big spear. Starlight Kid goes back to Suzu's knee with a seated dragon screw leg crusher submission. Starlight Kid hits the 180 splash from the top rope for a 2 count, twisting splash. Suzu comes back with a crazy German suplex. The crowd really rallies behind Suzu. Suzu hits a half and half slam for a 2 count. She goes for the tequila shot, but Starlight Kid escapes the tequila shot and rolls up Suzu Suzuki for a near fall that everybody bid on. Starlight Kid hits a cross-leg Northern Light suplex that she does also well. She attempts the Eternal Foe from the top rope, but Suzu then attempts a top rope German suplex. Starlight Kid eventually kicks her off. She misses the top rope moonsault. Starlight Kid then Suzu hits the tequila shot for 2, and then Suzu takes Starlight Kid, basically deadlifts Starlight Kid on the top rope. She hits a half and half slam from the top rope, and that was really cool. So she hits the tequila shot, and then she basically goes out. She sits on the top rope and just deadlifts Starlight Kid up from the apron all the way up to like the second or third rope where she was sitting, and hits the half and half slam. That scores her a 2 count, and then Suzu follows up with the Locomotion back-to-back German suplexes for the 3 count. 12 minutes, 26 seconds. Again, 4.25 stars. Absolutely fantastic match as Suzu Suzuki gets off the goose egg. She gets on the board with 2 points. We go to the main event of the show, which saw Soryu and Maika They both fight to a 15-minute time limit draw. So that's Soria Nu's second time limit draw. That puts her up to 4 points, and that gives Micah 3 points. I did realize, and I did see notes, and you can easily see it if you're watching the show. Everybody, over 500 of these fans are in this building with fans fanning themselves off. And I guess either the air condition broke or there was no AC in the building, as man, it was hot. So when you have 6 previous matches going on, so you already have all that heat in the ring, all that bumping, and then this is your main event, and you want them to go 15 minutes, and you trying to follow up that great match, that Starlight Kid versus Suzu Suzuki. And boy howdy, they Micah and Sorinu really worked their asses off here. They really did. But you can just tell the heat was getting to them. There's spots in this match where they're throwing water at each other, and you think it's building up the intensity. But me as a wrestler, I'm like, and I've wrestled in these hot buildings before. To me, they're kind of doing each other a favor by throwing the water on them to kind of cool them down. Um, so the match starts with Soryu Nu refuses to shake Micah's hand. So Micah drop kicks Soryu Nu. That sends Soryu to the floor. Micah hits a lariat off the apron. I've never seen that before. We've seen like Shuri doing the running punk kick, and we've seen Momo Watanabe doing the double knees, the Samato, the Meteor, whatever you want to call it, off the apron. But Micah hits a running lariat off the apron. I guess she really is Queen of Lariats, isn't she? They basically brawl on the outside. They both throw each other through a row of chairs. Maybe that was trying to cool them down as well. Back in the ring, Soria Nu targets Micah's neck with several innovative submission holds. She's really good at the bridging, isn't she? Like she does this bridging neck breaker that reminded me of like Kurt Hennig. There's a lot of things that she does that reminds me of Kurt Hennig. You know, but I call it the perfect flex that she does, and the neck submissions and how she gets to certain things. She reminds me a lot of Kurt Hennig. So, and that's a damn good compliment to our good wrestler to be compared to. Micah is able to come back with the Buzz Sawyer style power slam and then follows up with the sliding lariat that scores her 2 count. We get a forearm trade off between the two. Micah then hits a shoulder tackle. Sorinu goes back to the neck, locks in a sleeper hold. Micah takes the fight back to the floor. She hits a back suplex on the apron, and then they throw water at each other. Again, if you're looking at that from the fan perspective, you're like, wow, they're really building up the intensity. But again, wrestling is a two-way dance. They're probably trying to cool each other off, all while working in their story of the match, which I thought was great. Sorinu hits the perfect plex, as I call it, which is the fisherman suplex. This is a thing of beauty. The perfect plex scores a 2 count. Micah cuts a new off from the top rope. She tries for a superplex, but Sorinu is able to get out and hits a top rope hurricanrana. Sorinu then tries to go to the top again, but Micah is able to cut her off, and then she hits the superplex. And you can tell when she hits the superplex, you can just, the two of them are just exhausted. This heat is just getting to them. Just absolutely exhausted. They know they're hearing the countdown of the time they still have to go. And boy, there's not much left in the tank, and they still put the pedal to the metal. God bless them. They trade strikes back and forth. Micah counters her Karana into a Boston Crab. She hits the 360 lariat. Sorinu comes back, hits an amazing German suplex. Micah comes back with another huge lariat and SDO for 2. Micah tries for the Micah Buster, but the time expires. 4 stars. Great match. Wish the building was maybe a little bit cooler, but you can tell that these two, they really poured everything into this match. Then Micah said, unfortunately, this match ended in a draw. I will, no, what she said, I won't see in the finals because they're in the same block. She did say that after she wins the 5-star, she will become the World of Stardom champion, and that in early 2024, she will announce that Sorinu will be one of her early opponents. So Stardom's doing a great job sprinkling in these little hints of who's going to win the 5-star, who's calling them out for the final, or who's going to get a championship match afterwards. So this is great. So now it's like you have the people thinking that after Mike had this phenomenal performance, and Sorinu as well. Sorinu was like the early MVP so far this tournament, in my opinion, where it's like, oh man, maybe we'll see Micah win the red belt, and then Micah sometime in winter, spring of 2024, a Micah versus Sorinu World of Stardom Championship match. Don't think anybody will say no to that. I don't think that's the route they're going, but they did a great job planting that seed. Great job planting that seed, Stardom. So kudos to you as always. So now we will go to, as you probably hear my page is turning. I'm old school, folks. I keep notebooks. It's just easier for me to get my train of thought that way. We will go to the 6th of August in Haramatsu. 728 people jam-packed this building. That's a darn good number for a non-pay-per-view. This Stardom company, folks, they're gonna do A-OK. Match number 1 saw the Donald Del Mundo team of Julia and Tekla defeating the Oedo Tai team of Rina and Momo Watanabe 7 minutes and 10 seconds, where we saw Julia. She countered a submission attempt from Rina into the Bianca that had Rina tapping out. 3.5 stars. The crowd was hot. Let me tell you something, folks. The last show we reviewed that had the Mina Mirai match, that was fantastic. The crowd just was not into this. These two crowds were completely different. They were into everything. The crowd was super hot for this show, especially this opening match. When you have Julia and Momo Watanabe on opposite ends, you're only going to get fireworks. So, yep, really good match. Great way to start at 3.25 stars. Match number 2 saw the Stars team of Mayu Iwatani, Saya Iida, and Koguma defeating the Queen's Quest team of Lady C, Hina, and Miyu Amasaki. With the we would see the Freedom dropkick to Miyu, and then Koguma finishes Miyu out with a top rope body splash. 8 minutes 59 seconds, 3.5 stars. Again, I mentioned a few minutes earlier ago, folks. Lady C, Hina, and Miyu as a trio for Queen's Quest, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Mayu, Saya, Iida, and Koguma, they're always great. It's always great to see the Freedom rocket launcher. We've been seeing Mayu do that quite a bit over the past year. And another win for Saya Iida, folks. She moves up to 4 points. I'm just kidding. But another win, Saya Iida, 2 for 2. 2 for 2. Match number 3. We would see the makeshift team of Megan Bayne and Mariah May defeating Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori when Megan Bayne pins Yuna with the F5. 10 minutes, 6 seconds, 3.25 stars. And folks, if you're a fan of Natsupoi like I am, boy, I tell you what, there was some great segments of little Natsupoi just trying to chop down this giant tree that's Megan Bayne. And boy, she had no fear. She really took it to Megan Bayne. But ultimately, it was just Megan Bayne's power. Again, the whole purpose for all these matches with Megan Bayne, you get everybody a little shine here or there, whatever. But just Megan Bayne just kind of really just rolled through people and just put people away with their power and that beautiful F5. Again, building to her match with Tam. It's going to be interesting to see how Tam can conquer Megan Bayne. You know, perfect job building her up. Again, I don't think she's taken a bump, which is smart. 3.25 stars. We get to the last match of the show before we get into these 5-star matches, as we saw the makeshift team of Maika, Suzuki, Mei Sierra defeating the God's Eye team of Saki Kashima, Ami Sourei, and Mirai when Mei Sierra pins Saki once again with the Rolling Star Cradle. 9 minutes, 37 seconds, 3.5 stars. Again, Mei Sierra has pinned the high-speed champion several times. I think that's eventually where they're going. I think just they've got this really good comedy gimmick going with Saki, and they have obviously her joining God's Eye, getting the sympathy there with her losing that match of the year candidate cage match with Oedo Tai versus Queen's Quest. So she's got the sympathy there. So they're going to strum it out as long as they can. Obviously, the main focus for the rest of the summer and going into the fall is the 5-star, but I wouldn't be shocked that if you see one of the first pay-per-views coming out of the 5-star or a big Cork and Hall show that we see Mei Sierra getting the win over Saki Kashima and becoming the high-speed champion. So that's that for the undercard, and let's get into the main crux of this show, folks. These 5-star matches. So, next match number 5 on this show. Blue Stars block. Mina Shirakawa picking up another win, taking her to 4 points over Hana, who still at 0 points, as we did see Hana taps out to the figure 4 leg lock. 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Hana's off to this match. I had this match at 4 stars, excuse me. Hana's off to a fast start with a dropkick, several running European uppercuts. A new little offense we see from Hana. We see obviously sliding lariats, the sliding Ds, quite a bit from some of the Stardom roster, but none of these like sliding European uppercuts. And Hana's added to her arsenal. I'll take it. She's fantastic. Mina misses a low dropkick. Mina misses quite a few of these low dropkicks. Like Hana has her well scouted, which I thought was great. It's like, here's Hana, 18 years old. Mina's just coming off this great run that built her up, won the Wonder of Stardom Championship, had a great match with Natsupoi, great match with Tam, even though she dropped the belt. She's one half of the Goddess of Stardom champion. Mina's on a roll, crushes everybody with these low drop kicks, but Hana only 18 years old, smart enough to get out of the way. I thought that was really good in the beginning of the match. Like, nope. And then anytime that Mina would miss it, the psychology was Hana would stay on her. I thought this was great. I thought it was great. Hana locks Mina in a double armbar. Mina finally is able to hit the low drop kick about 2 or 3 minutes into the match. Mina locks in the figure four. Hana is able to fight it off. She fires off some forearms, but Mina goes back to the knee. Hana hits the fall-away slam and the Hana special onto Mina for two. Hana hits the rocker dropper, or the famous, or whatever you want to call it, for 2 count. And then she goes for the backdrop driver, which is one of Hana's finisher. Mina is able to get out of it by kicking away at Hana's knee. I thought that was just genius simple. You can keep wrestling simple, folks. Hana escapes the Dragon Screw leg whip with the DDT. That was cool. How many times have we seen like Fujinami do the Dragon Screw, or we've seen Muto do the Dragon Screw, or Tanahashi? Usually, when you do the Dragon Screw, you have to put your head down so you can, get proper leg positioning, and then you're feeding the head for the DDT. Like I've never seen that. Never seen that. I've seen the Dragon Screw 1,000 times. Never seen anybody just like, well, your head's down, I'm just going to take it and drive it right into the mat with DDT. Hana's a genius. Absolute genius. Hana hits the Hana special for two. She hits the backdrop for 2.9. Eventually, Mina gets the advantage. She goes for the Glamorous Collection Mina roll up, but then Hana counters that roll up with the 17 roll up for 2.9. Great. Again, she's countering a lot of Mina's things here. This is great. Mina is finally hit the Dragon Screw leg whip, locks in the figure four leg lock, and then they work it. They sell it for a good 60, 70 seconds. You think Hana's going to get out. She's going to fight out of it. Mina's going to have to give it up to go to something else or get to the ropes, but they work it. They sell it. Eventually, Hana taps out. Again, this is great. This is a solid 4 stars for me. I think Hana, and we've mentioned this pretty much every week on this podcast, she may come out with 2, 3 points, maybe 4 at the most, but she's going to come out as looking like a superstar. I know early on I had her upsetting Mirai to get a white belt shot. Obviously, that match last week did happen. It was great, but did not get the upset. But she's coming out of this thing going to be an absolute huge star. Again, at just the tender age of 17, just absolutely, or 18, just absolutely amazes me. Match number 6 on the show, we go to the Blue Stars block as we see Azumi getting her first 2 points by defeating Soryu, hitting a combination of a head kick, destroyer, and the Azumi Sushi. 8 minutes, 18 seconds. My notes are wow, 4.25 stars. This was great. Match begins with Azumi and Soryu trading wristlocks back and forth. Soryu hits a big boot. Azumi returns one, fires off a few kicks, and then builds up to her arm work. Again, I mentioned before how genius Azumi is on building up the arm work here. Soryu goes for basically they go back and forth with some high-speed action as Soryu is able to keep up with that style, especially with Azumi really being the queen of that style, or king. Azumi hits a top rope arm drag and then hits a double stomp for a 2 count. Soryu escapes an armbar, but Azumi is able to hold on to the arm when Soryu is getting up, and Azumi hits the C4 German suplex bomb for a 2 count. She hits the C4 bomb, and then a new pops up, and she hits Azumi with the German suplex. Soryu then counters an Azumi Sushi as they both trade so many near falls, I can't keep up. I paused the feed 2 or 3 times. Eventually, my arm cramped up, and I just said, I'm going to put in the notes, I can't keep up with all these near falls. If you've seen some of these Azumi matches, you know what I mean, folks. Soryu misses that perfect Insagori, and gives Azumi the opening for the Azumi Sushi, which only scores her a 2 count. Azumi hits the La Mystica, and then a head kick for a 2 count. Soryu is able to come back with that Insaguri. Anu hits a crazy German suplex that only scores her a 2 count. Soryu and then goes for another German suplex against Soryu with this bridge. It's just absolutely crazy, channeling Manami Toyota. She hits a beautiful German suplex for 2.9. She goes for the Pottering neckbreaker, but Azumi is able to counter that with a head kick, turns the head kick into a Canadian Destroyer, and then quickly follows up the Canadian Destroyer with the Azumi Sushi for the 3 count. Again, 4.25 stars. Absolutely fantastic. Soryu is really building herself up as an MVP of this tournament early on. Match number 7, the co-main event, saw Natsuko Tora getting her 6th point by defeating Shuri with the Swanton Bomb, 12 minutes, 59 seconds. I had this at 4.25 stars. Now, I do want to make mention that when I was doing my notes when this match started, I saw that Natsuko Tora had 4 points. She did get the 2 points over the forfeit. She was supposed to wrestle Sai Kamatani, I believe, a few days earlier. So, yes, I will have to remind myself and remind you folks that anybody that is scheduled to wrestle Saya Kamatani, they get an automatic 2 points. So that's where the 6 comes from. Tora defeat Ami Soren night 1, the forfeit from Sai Kamatani is another 2, and this one here is 2, and my basic math skills will tell me 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. So, Tora tries to shoot an early double leg onto Sherry, and not smart. What are you doing, Tora? What are you doing trying to shoot a double leg on the shooter that is Sherry? Sherry comes up with a wrist lock. Tora hits a big tackle, but Sherry uses an arm drag to transition into some arm work onto Tora. Sherry hits a running knee that sends Tora to the floor. Tora uses a chair to block Sherry's apron kick. I thought that was very innovative, excuse me. And these are Oedo Tai matches, and this goes back to really Hazuki back in 18 and 19. With everybody on the outside, they do a great job blinding the ref. I hate it when there's cheating in front of the referee. SummerSlam had interference in a lot of matches, and there was some cheating in front of the referee, and then there was no cheating, or there was cheating but not in front of the referee. Hence, I don't want to make this about WWE. Hence, go back and watch Rollins versus Balor. There was so much running in with Damian Priest, with Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, but they pulled the ref every time. That's how to do it. You don't punch somebody with brass knucks in your opening match in front of the referee. Anywho, I'm just saying, genius for Oedo Tai and Tora here, the way that they pull the referee for all this cheating. Love it. She pitches Sherry back into the ring. Tora works over Sherry's knee. Sherry's able to come back with a Quesadora Bulldog and then locks in a cross arm breaker to go back to Tora's arm. Tora and Sherry exchange forearms. Sherry opens up with some brutal kicks. Really gets her a big advantage of the match. Tora eventually comes back with a kick and a sit-out DVD, or she counters a big kick with a sit-out DVD. Tora hits a huge lariat and the Autobahn style corner cannonball in the corner. Tora hits a second rope splash for 2. Shuri goes back to Tora's arm, transitioning into submissions. Sherry hits the draping DDT for a 2 count. Tora then counters a head kick into a power bomb and then a DVD for 2. Very reminiscent to Sherry versus Utami matches, where Sherry's just opening up with kicks, but throws one too many, and then she gets caught in the power bomb. So I thought that was a cool counter spot, but then instead of just hitting the power bomb and then kind of resting, Tora knows that she needs to stay on Sherry here and be able to hit the DVD for 2. Crowd is really, really hot for this whole show, but really at this point in this match, really hot, trying to get behind Sherry. Tora goes to the top rope and misses a swanton bomb. Sherry hits a code breaker and follows up with a brutal head kick for a 2 count. Tora then blinds the ref, basically pushes the ref out of the way, hits the myth while Sherry is on the top rope. Tora then hits a top rope DVD, which I thought was the finish, but Sherry kicks out. But then Tora quickly goes to the top rope, is able to stay aggressive, and is able to hit the swanton bomb for the 3 count. 12 minutes, 59 seconds, 4.25 stars. This is like the best Tora match I've seen since she's been back. She's been having these really, really good matches, and she's on an absolute roll. 6 points. Again, I really think that going into that final night with her former Oedo Tai member Hazuki, that she's going to be in contention to make it to the finals, because this was fantastic. This was great. I'd love to see these two run it back. It was really cool how Shuri, anytime that she would try to get the advantage, there'd be some cheating involved, but not in front of the referee. I just thought that was so creative that the ref is checking on Tora as Shuri's going to the top rope, and Tora, all she does is just take the ref and kind of just move him out of the way, and she spits the miss. We saw Kagetsu do that quite a bit in her matches with Mayu, and it was copy Nate, get a Nate. I mean, it worked for Kagetsu and Mayu. Why can't it work for Tora and Shuri? And sure did here. Again, the DVD and then the Swanton Bomb for the 3 count. We go to the final match, the main event match, and the match that I know that I was looking forward towards the most of these 2 shows. And we go to the Red Stars block. Tam Nakano, the World of Stardom champion, gets another 2 points, moving up to 4, leaving Hazuki on a big 0. Tam Nakano gets the win, 12 minutes, 35 seconds, with 4 violent shootings, and then the violent screwdriver for the 3 count, 4.5 stars. Hazuki uses basically some of her quickness to bait Tam in, really kind of getting in Tam's head. Tam gets away for some boot scrapes early on, hits a cutter. We've seen Tam using the diamond cutter, maybe the cosmic cutter, we'll call it here, the cosmic angel cutter, CAC. We've been seeing her use that quite a bit here in 2023. She follows up the Cosmic Cutter with the Cartwheel Kick. Tam then pours on a few more kicks. Hazuki and Tam trade forearms, which we knew that was going to happen. Well, we all paid to see, right? These two just standing in the middle of the ring trading forearms. Great. Hazuki hits a half and half slam and a senton. Hazuki was able to follow up, finally hits the boot scrapes face wash combination. Crowd is really, really hot for both Hazuki and Tam. Hazuki does a great job interacting with the crowd and getting them involved. She's got really great crowd psychology. Hazuki locks in a crossface and then follows up with a DDT. Hazuki then goes to the top, but Tam boots her right outside of the ring. I mean, she goes to the top rope and Tam just kicks her, and Hazuki just fumbles right to the floor. Tam hits a dive to the floor. Tam hits a pump knee and a huge German suplex back in the ring. Hazuki is able to come back with a pump kick and a suplex of her own. Hazuki crushes Tam with a pair of pump kicks and then follows up with a draping DDT. I mean, Hazuki doesn't hold anything back here, neither does Tam. Hazuki back to the crossface and then transitions the crossface into the double armbar or the Rings of Saturn submission. Crowd at this point really rallying behind Tam. Hazuki does a great job when it's like babyface first babyface. When she's on the defensive, she's able to get the crowd to rally behind her. And then when she's on the offensive, she's able to help get the crowd rally behind that her opponent. See Hazuki versus Mayu. See Hazuki versus Saya. Again, Rob and I just called it for Patreon members. Is that she does a great job again with face versus face, getting the crowd to get behind who's ever kind of on the defensive on the selling. Again, and great. I'm Tam's. She's a really good baby face. So Saya, so's Mayu, etc. But the Hazuki just helps out just a little bit, getting the crowd to rally behind the person that she's beating up, which is pretty much everybody. Tam is able to get to the ropes. We see a Hazuki driver and a senton for 2. She goes to the top rope. Then she hits a top rope senton for 2. Tam then hits a tiger suplex, and then she follows up with the chicken wing slam for a 2 count. Tam then tries for the Twilight Dream, but Hazuki counters and goes for the Hazuki straw, which I thought would have been the finish. But when she goes to roll over into the Hazuki straw, or the Mai straw, Tam was able to stack her for 2.9. I thought that was great. Then Hazuki comes back and is able to put Tam in an abdominal stretch. She turns the abdominal stretch into a pinning attempt a la Dory Funk Jr. And then Tam is able to counter with a huge spin kick and then 4 violent shootings that leads into the violent screwdriver for a 3 count. 12 minutes, 35 seconds, 4.5 stars. Very much like Starlight Kid versus Suzuki. Great match. Unbelievable. But you just think there's another gear missing there. And the fact that Hazuki has dropped her first 2 matches, she's dropped them to the IWGP Women's Champion, and she's dropped it to the World of Stardom Champion. And considering the fact that Sai Kamitani was pegged to win this tournament, maybe now Hazuki does not lose another match. Maybe she runs the table, she wins the 5-star, and then Mayu and Tam can both come out and say, we're both champions. I'm the champion of New Japan. Tam's the champion of Stardom. Who do you want to face? And you only lost 2 matches in the 5-star. And it's 1 to Mayu, 1 to Tam. So maybe that's the route they go. Maybe Hazuki rallies, she wins this tournament, and then it's like, well, does she choose Tam or does she choose Mayu? Because those are her first 2 losses and her only 2 losses. Maybe that's the way they go. I would not be disappointed. I don't think anybody would. I think everybody just is a huge fan of Hazuki. So we'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes, folks. Let's do some previewing before we get out of here. Let's talk about the upcoming 5-star matches coming up on the. Let me see here. Let me get my notes. Coming up this weekend, and then we will preview the big pay-per-view. So we have coming up this weekend on the 10th, Red Stars block. We have Mayu Iwatani versus Natsupoi. That's going to be fantastic. We were supposed to have Sai Kamitani and Ami Sourei. Obviously, that will not be going down due to the injury of Sai Kamitani. Suzu Suzuki for Natsuko Tora. That's going to be interesting because Tora's on an absolute roll, and I don't see her dropping too many matches. And then we also have Tora and Starlight Kid in the pay-per-view, which we'll talk about in a moment. But Suzu needs some wins. I think one more loss because of the shorter block is going to make it next to impossible for her to be in contention going into that final night or that final week. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I won't give my actual predictions until I kind of write them down. Oh, speaking of which, hold on one sec, folks. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, if you're new to the show, what we were doing is we were doing a pick'em between myself, Rob, our co-host, and our significant others, my wife Amber and his girlfriend Kirsty. And if you have been listening to the podcast, you know that we are getting our asses kicked. My wife, who's seen maybe a dozen Stardom matches, and Kirsty, who's seen zero. Obviously, Rob and I have seen every Stardom match from just about from the last 2 or 3 years. Every Stardom match, and even before that, we watch a lot of Stardom. So, folks, here are the standings after these two shows. In last place would be me with 9 points. Third place, Rob Goodwin with 10 points. Second place would be my wife with 11 points. And in first place, Rob's girlfriend, Kirsty, with 13 points. Yes, folks, the two people who do a Stardom podcast that talk about Stardom. Again, that was featured on Talk is Jericho just about a month or so ago. We were in last place, losing to our significant others. Again, my wife's seen maybe a dozen and a half Stardom matches. Rob's girlfriend has not seen any. So we're inching a little bit closer. Wasn't as bad as last week. Again, it's a long tournament. So, hopefully we can make up some ground. So anywho, I will not be giving my official predictions until maybe tomorrow. So again, we are going to be taking a look at, Suzu Suzuki and Tora. That's certainly going to be interesting. Also on the 10th, Blue Stars block, there is no matches. However, on the 12th, Saturday, there is no matches in Red Star block, but Blue Star block is absolutely loaded. Listen to these matches. Sorya New versus Utami Hayashishita. Wow. Utami is pegged by many people to win this tournament. Sorya New, as I mentioned before, is the early MVP of this tournament. That's going to be great. Azumi versus Hanan. You're going to see massive roll-up attempts. I guarantee you there's going to be at least 8 flash pinfalls in this match, and I'm excited to see it. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes like 6-7 minutes, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's a 4.25 star match. And then what might be the main event, maybe Utami Sorry News the main event, I'm not sure, but this is going to be great. Julia versus Mina Shirakawa, both former Goddess champions, both former Trios champions, and both former Wonder of Stardom champions as well. So, and both leaders of their faction, Don Del Mundo and Club Venus. So, artists, I couldn't think of it. Both former artists of Stardom champions, not Trios, but you get the gist. And both very hard-hitting, both very violent. So Julie's a phenomenal seller, especially selling on the limbs, and that's what Mina likes to go for. So, yeah, that is going to be very, very interesting. Also, too, we may as well preview. How about the 15th? The 15th, we have Utami versus Zumi, Queen's Quest there. Sorry New versus Momo Watanabe. Holy jeez, that's going to be great. Mina Shirakawa versus Mariah May. So you have Queen's Quest versus Queen's Quest, and you have Club Venus versus Club Venus. And then the 15th Red Stars block, Tam Nakano versus Mayu Iwatani. Oh boy. Wow. Wow. Shuri versus Suzuki. Yes, take all my money. Sai Kamitani versus Natsupoi. Unfortunately, not going to happen. So, folks, again, I'm just going to run down the top matches coming up over the next week. Mayu versus Natsupoi. Suzu versus Tora. Mayu versus Tam. Shuri versus Suzuki, that's probably the match I'm looking forward to the most. Utami versus Sorya New, Julia versus Mina, Utami versus Zumi, Sori versus Momo Watanabe. We get all of that in the next week, plus this pay-per-view. Folks. Let's run it down, shall we? And this will be the last piece of business for us today. So, just pulling it up here. We have Stardom X Stardom coming up this Sunday, I believe the 13th. We are going to start, again, this is not in 100% order, but we are going to start with a gauntlet match. We have the participants in the gauntlet match, Suzu Suzuki and Mei Seira, Hazuki and Saya Ida. Oh, I have dubbed them the New Miracle Violence Collection. Connection. Of course, the very first one was Dr. Death, Steve Williams, and Terry Bam Bam Gordy from All Japan fame. So I'm dubbing Hazuki and Saya Ida the New Miracle Violence Connection. Momo Watanabe and Ruaka Azumi, Miyu Amasaki from O2 line, Yuna Mizumori and Momoko Hanazono. Oh man. So we have Momoko Hanazono coming back. Waka and Billiken Death. Oh boy, that's funny. Hana and Hina, love it when the sisters team up. Mike and Tekla, Shuri and Hanako, and the former Goddess of Stardom champions, Mirai and Amisori. I think this gauntlet match will be fun. It's nice that everybody's going to get in the match. And you're going to see probably some interesting pairings. But I think I'm going to pick Suzu Suzuki and Mei Seira to get the win here. We then go, again, this is not in any particular order, to the only 5-star Grand Prix match, Starlight Kid versus Natsuko Tora. I will give my prediction on this because it's a pay-per-view. Starlight Kid's got to get a win here. But then we have Tora dropping 2 matches. It's a possibility, or maybe a time limit draw. But I'm going to say Starlight Kid gets the win here. You know what? No, I'm going to change that. Because when Tora was injured, a lot of new Stardom fans, including me, thought Starlight Kid was the leader of Oedo Tai, either Starlight Kid or Momo Watanabe. And Tora has done a great job proving that she's the leader of this group and being really aggressive. And I think if Tora drops the fall here to Starlight Kid, it's going to show that maybe Starlight Kid's the leader. So no, I'm going to change my pick and say that Tora gets the win here. But Starlight Kid needs to start picking up some wins. They just can't just keep drowning her here. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to say Tora, but I'm doing terrible on these picks anyway. So, High Speed Championship, Saki Kashima, the champion, defending against the High Speed Genius, the Dancing Bear herself, Koguma. This will be fun. This will be comedy. This will be a zillion near falls. But I think this is just another match to get Saki Kashima another win underneath her High Speed Championship. I see Saki Kashima retaining. We then go to the Goddess of Stardom Championship. This is going to be great. This is going to be fun. The champions, Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May of the Venus, aka Rose Gold, taking on the team of Cosmic Angels, Soria New, and Natsupoi. Folks, we've been talking about how great Natsupoi and Tam are as Melt here. Probably the best tag team in Stardom. Obviously, Tam not doing tag team full time because she is the Red Belt champion, the World of Stardom champion. So you're basically taking Tam out and putting Soria New in. Soria New, again, she's absolutely crushing it. This little interweaving storyline where she likes Natsupoi, she doesn't, is she gonna stab him in the back? She's kind of doing all the Cosmic Angel stuff, kind of under protest, like half-assed it. But she's gonna be great here. Soria New is great. Her and Natsupoi together as frenemies, or whether they're on the same page or not. This match is gonna be great. This has potential to be the Stardom Tag Match of the Year. It really does. Julia defending the New Japan Strong Championship against Yu. I see Julia getting a win here, and it's gonna be interesting to see if Julia can use any of her power moves on Yu. Obviously, Yu is one of the bigger and stronger wrestlers. We're gonna see if she can get her up for the Falcon Arrow, the Glorious Driver, and or the Northern Lights Bomb. She did hit it on Willow Nightingale. It was very impressive. So, if Julia gets the win here, then maybe next Sunday she accepts Deonna Purrazzo's challenge in Philly, which then will make me buy a ticket. I haven't bought my ticket yet to that show, Multi Universe. But there's a possibility. I have a feeling that once the show is over, that I will be buying a ticket. I think that we'll see something either on Twitter or maybe a video thing where Deonna Purrazzo then says, "Hey, I'm going to be in Philly a week from today. I challenge you for that New Japan Strong Championship." So let me go to our last 2 matches, folks. And I strongly believe that this is going to be the co-main event. World of Stardom Championship, Tam Nakano versus Megan Bayne. Obviously, I always say that. I don't know why I'm saying obviously. That your main championship match should go on last. When they were saying there's going to be a double main event, an All-Star Grand Queendom, Tam versus Julia, and the dream match of Mayu versus Mercedes. Obviously, Mercedes is the one who really drew a majority of that crowd because of her big star status coming out from WWE. A lot of new subscribers to Stardom World. A lot of people bought the pay-per-view because of Mercedes. But I said, Tam and Julia got to go on last, right? They have the feud. It's the World of Stardom Championship. That's got to go. And I was so glad that it went on last. I think this is going to be a little different just because Megan Bayne's new and who's in what I think is going to be the main event, which I'll get to. They could still put this on as the main event. I think either or would be the right call. Again, I mentioned it before. They're doing a great job building Megan Bayne up, making her look like an absolute monster. Just genius booking from Stardom. But that's going to be Tam. Tam's going to get the win here. And then we'll see if there's going to be a challenger for her for maybe the next show, or if not, they're just going to let her run into the 5-star. And then the match that everybody's looking forward to. Don't get me wrong, this whole show I'm really looking forward to. But this is going to be the biggie, folks. Mayu Iwatani defending the World of Stardom Championship against the IWGP Joshi Championship, Women's Championship against Utami Hayashishita. A lot of people are wondering how's this one going to go? This one I think is going to get a lot of time because it is kind of a shorter card. I mean, you look at a lot of great wrestlers are in that tag gauntlet, and that'll go fast. Or it might be free on YouTube, which they won't tell anybody about. If it is free on YouTube, we are Stardom. Please let us know so I can get up earlier and watch it on Sunday. By the way, fantastic job to the fantastic people over at Stardom World getting these shows up like less than 24 hours. It's great. The show happens, and then like the next morning, I see that it's up on Stardom World. So it's great. It's able to keep everything up. So great job over at Stardom World, folks. Keep it up. Um, but Anywho, yes. So if anybody does know that if the gauntlet match, if there's another match that is on earlier than the scheduled time, please let me know. So then I can get no problem getting up early, watching it, just so I can note it and be able to give you a proper review. But yes, I think that this match is going to go quite a bit of time. The IWGP rule says 60 minutes. I don't think it's going to go to a 60-minute time limit. Although I wouldn't say no to saying Mayu and Utami wrestle for 60 minutes. But I think what happens here is Mayu beats Utami. This is Mayu's first defense. This championship's been hot potatoed really since Kairi won it. Kairi had one defense over Tam and then lost it to Mercedes. Mercedes had the one defense over Azumi and Hazuki and then lost it to Mayu. All those matches were great. Go see them if you haven't. But I don't think Mayu's going to drop it here. I think Mayu gets the win here. I think Utami wins the 5-star. Utami goes on to beat Tam the end of the year for the World of Stardom Championship. I think maybe sometime in the spring, Mayu drops the IWGP Women's Championship. Then I think in about maybe 10, 12 months from now, Utami, who's the World of Stardom Champion, Mayu doesn't have a belt. Mayu says, look, I beat you at Stardom X Stardom for the IWGP Championship. I want a shot at the red belt. And that gives Mayu a chance to come back about a year later. Stardom does a great job with these long-term storylines. Mayu can say, hey, I gave you a shot. I want a shot at your red belt, and that'll get Mayu versus Utami up again. Go if you have not done so, and I'm probably going to go back and watch it before the pay-per-view. Watch their semifinal match from the IWGP Women's Tournament. I believe it was night 1 of the Stardom Goddess Tournament. I know it was on a pay-per-view, but it was that match was worth the $35 I spent on the pay-per-view alone. I think I rated it 5 stars, and I think Rob was like 4 3/4. He said he wanted to give it like 4.9, but that's not how the scale worked. I said, "What's your scale? You can do what you want with it." But that was a match. That was match of the year contender. It was great. Get Mayu versus Utami. Even when Utami beat Mayu for the World of Stardom Championship back in 2020, even though the crowd was very, very quiet, it was a COVID crowd. I understand. But that match was fantastic, and just as good, if not better, was their match last fall. I highly recommend. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. If you haven't seen it in a while, go and watch it. If you just watched it before you listen to this episode, go and watch it again because it's absolutely fantastic. Utami and Mayu just have great chemistry. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think Mayu will retain, and it'll be an absolute barn burner match of the year contender. But then I think come 6, 7, 8 months, that Mayu comes back to challenge Utami for the World of Stardom Championship. Folks, that is my prediction 8, 10, 12 months in the future. So if it does happen, you can come back and quote me on this episode. Folks, we got one more piece of business before we wrap it up. We are 1 month away from the release of the Stardom Cast beer, the label. We have put up on all of our social medias. If you have not seen it or you do not do social media, send me an email, stardomcast22@gmail.com. I have no problem forwarding you over what the label will look like. It's going to be a 5.4% beer. It's going to be a sour mashed brewed with blueberries. And they have actually the fantastic people over at Funk. They did put a QR code on the label that'll be on the can. So if you scan it, it'll take you to the Stardom Cast link tree. So absolutely excited for that. The logo that we did use is the logo that Haley Stokes, the very talented Haley Stokes, has. She's done all of our labels. We decided to use the Julia 5-star Grand Prix 2022 win pose, which I believe was our second logo. So that's the logo that we went with. We figured this beer would be coming out in the midst of the 5-star. I believe it's the second week of September. This is supposed to drop, and it looks really cool. And Haley's doing a great job. And there's a new logo, Stardom Cast logo coming out, but I've had to book Haley like 6, 7 weeks in advance. She's just so busy with her new career doing tattoos. So the Stardom Cast logos will probably be coming out, instead of coming out maybe every 2 or 3 months. It might be like once or twice a year because she's just so busy, which is awesome. So there'll be a new Stardom Cast logo coming out either the end of August or beginning of September. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I won't tell you what it is or who it is. You'll just see it, and you'll probably love it because Haley's great. So yes, thank you to the fantastic friends over at Funk Brewery for going out of their way, getting that beer out in the middle of September. and putting that fancy QR code on the beer can. That was just absolutely genius. And those guys have been nothing but great to us. And Norman Puck have been friends of mine for a while, and Mark Sheetzo as well. And I want to plug their documentary that they did that I was a part of, World's Strongest Bro. It's basically an annual event that we literally do in Puck's backyard. Puck is one of the owners of Funk Brewing, where it's basically a little bit of drinking games and a whole bunch of really dumb lifting events that we do. That we have an absolute blast, and we just keep drawing bigger crowds into Puck's backyard. And I told them we need to start charging admission and pay a landscaper because we mess up Puck's yard. And Mark Sheetzo, my buddy Sheetzo, he did a great job on this documentary. It's like 15, 16 minutes long. I have it up on all of my social medias. I will repost it if you want me to, or just go on YouTube, type in World's Strongest Bro. It's like the second or third thumbnail down. It's a picture of Puck, who's a bald guy, carrying a keg with a yellow background. If you have 15 minutes, go and watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. And we have a blast every year doing World's Strongest Bro. I look forward to it like I look forward to Christmas and like how I look forward to WrestleMania. Really, I absolutely love it. So, folks, that's going to do it. I was at this by myself for about an hour and 20 minutes. I hope you all enjoyed it. Hopefully Rob will be better and we'll be back with us next week because we have a lot of stuff coming up. If you have not done so, folks, go on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment if you think we deserve it. Also, please go over to our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. The goal is by the end of this year to get to 1,000 subscribers. We got a little ways to go, but I feel confident that we will do it, and we're coming out with some new material to put up on the podcast to help that out as well. So please go and do that. Also hit that like, share, and subscribe button. That helps us out an absolute ton. And I think that's it. Oh, plugs. You guys want to get a hold of me? Questions, comments, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter or the X or whatever it's called. And again, folks, the email address, thestardomcast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. Once again, folks, I cannot say thank you enough. Thanks for hanging in there with me, just listening to me rant and rave about Stardom for almost an hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed giving you the product. That'll close it out for another fantastic episode, folks. Hope you all have a great day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view. Enjoy this fantastic 5-star. Enjoy the ending of the G1, which is closely coming upon us. Enjoy wrestling. Enjoy WWE. Enjoy AEW. Whatever you're watching. Tokyo Joshi Pro, Lucha, death matches. Enjoy wrestling. Enjoy music. Enjoy the summer. Enjoy life, folks. And anything that I can do, you just let me know. It's what I am here for. Because I cannot do any of this without you folks. Like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together. Everybody's special. Everyone's different. Bye, boy.